Marina Mabrey came up and shoved her to the ground.
The Caitlin Clark getting knocked down by Marina Mabrey.
Marina Mabrey cheap shots a Caitlin Clark who had just been poked in the eye, with Caitlin Clark not even looking in her direction.
JC Sheldon poked Caitlin Clark in the eye, and I've never seen a player get poked in the eyes.
Marina Mabrey.
It all erupted in a flash. Marina Mabrey unleashed a blatant cheap shot on Caitlin Clark, catching her completely off guard as she was still tending to an earlier eye injury.
Caitlin Clark gets poked in the eye. Marina Mabrey, she just decides to clean Caitlin Clark.
There was no ball in play, no defensive excuse, just a brutal, deliberate shove that sent Caitlin crashing to the court. The entire arena gasped, and now, at long last, the WNBA has taken action.
WNBA has broken their silence about Marina Mabrey. Marina Mabrey technical foul from last night's Fever game has been upgraded to a flagrant 2. The league told ESPN a flagrant 2 comes from a standard fine.
This wasn't just a foul, it was a breaking point. If you stand behind Caitlin Clark and everything she represents for women's basketball, type CC 100% in the comments right now. Because this moment, this is the one that shook the league and changed the conversation forever.
She's a star, you can't touch her, you can't breathe on her, but she can't be the league's fucking punching bag.
This wasn't just rough play. It was one of the most alarming and intentional acts the league has seen all season. With 5:10 left in the third quarter, Caitlin Clark was already shaken after a painful eye poke from JC Sheldon. She clutched her face, walking away from the action to regroup.
This is a physical league, you need to get used to it.
And that's when Marina Mabrey made a move that had nothing to do with defense, basketball, or competition.
This is 5:10 to go in the third quarter. The Caitlin Clark getting knocked down by Marina Mabrey. She threw a swinging back fist in a game and got away with it. One possession before getting away with knocking Caitlin on the ground. One possession later. This is one possession later. So, does this happen? Does this happen?
Without even seeing what had just happened to Clark, Mabrey marched across the court and launched a full-force shove straight into Caitlin's back, sending her flying to the hardwood. It wasn't in the heat of a play. It wasn't reactionary. It was calculated, aggressive, and absolutely disconnected from the flow of the game.
Caitlin Clark, Marina Mabrey, Tina Charles were assessed with technical fouls on Tuesday. Caitlin, Marina, and Tina Charles. Technical fouls. That's it. Technical fouls. That's it. And JC Sheldon was assessed with a flagrant 1 foul, and no players were ejected.
Yet unbelievably, the referees only gave Mabry a technical foul. No flagrant, no ejection, no serious consequences. A single free throw. That's it. Caitlin had been attacked, and the officials barely blinked. Even more disturbing,
Caitlin Clark's technical foul has not been rescinded, that she got teched for essentially like clearing someone from her space after they poked her in the eye.
Just a moment earlier, Mabry had already thrown a wild spinning back fist. Yes, a move straight out of MMA, aimed at Aaliyah Boston. If Boston hadn't leaned away, that blow could have done serious damage.
How unhinged Marina Mabrey is, man. She is a deadly weapon out here, all right? Just crazy how she was behaving, right? Now, honestly, if you look at the arms, nobody hit her in the face, man. She is just out here winning an Oscar, trying to get something going here. I mean, trying to find a reason to hit somebody.
Video clearly shows the referee watching the entire sequence and doing absolutely nothing. 2 violent, dangerous plays in a row, completely unchecked. And Mabry, she smiled through the whistles and booing, fully aware she was getting away with it.
All the way through. This was the second time I've seen a ref staring at something, just staring at it and not calling anything.
This wasn't heat-of-the-moment behavior. Mabry's demeanor throughout the game was described as reckless, unpredictable, and borderline dangerous. It wasn't passion, it was mayhem.
Mabry assessed the technical foul, was not ejected, and who's gonna step up and do something?
Basketball insiders and fans alike slammed her for what they called a purposeful attack, demanding real consequences from the league. And Caitlin Clark? She did nothing to invite it.
Caitlin Clark is a gifted player.
Caitlin is the one.
No comparison to Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is the most must-watch basketball player in world basketball right now. There's nobody that does what Caitlin Clark does.
She's the biggest basketball star in the world.
How special and rare Caitlin Clark is.
Her only offense was being the most visible, most influential player in the WNBA. Sadly, this isn't new. From Kennedy Carter to J.C. Sheldon and now Marina Mabrey, there's a troubling pattern. Caitlin is being hunted. This time, millions saw it unfold in real time. And they weren't just shocked, they were outraged.
The WNBA, you've got Caitlin Clark, and I feel like the WNBA does not know how to handle this. Man, she got beat up on the court. What's her face? Stuck her fingers in her eye. Then she got shoved to the ground. Look at this. They were treating her like a damn punching bag. This was wild. The WNBA needs to learn how to manage this.
The second Marina Mabrey shoved Caitlin Clark to the ground, the entire dynamic shifted, not just in the game, but across the league. Social media exploded. Sports analysts went into overdrive. What should have been an intense but respectful WNBA showdown spiraled into one of the season's most heated controversies.
If you check out here, you look at her nails. They are quite long. And in this next picture right here, where she's quite literally like digging them into Caitlin Clark's arm, you can understand where she was getting under Caitlin's skin. That caused tempers to flare. And right here, you see a lot of chirping starting, where JC says, "You can't do that." And Caitlin Clark says, "I can do whatever the bleep I want to do."
Fans didn't just voice frustration, they demanded action. But once again, the WNBA's response felt sluggish, mild, and all too familiar. The outrage was immediate and widespread. Popular YouTubers, broadcasters, and fans replayed the moment frame by frame, dissecting every angle.
There were 6 technical fouls issued, there were 3 ejections, and there were 2 flagrant fouls. For one game, that is bananas. Even the broadcasters at the time mentioned if they would have just ejected Marina Mabrey, this probably wouldn't have happened.
And while Mabry was clearly at fault, the bigger target became the referees. Commentators repeatedly argued that if Mabry had been properly ejected at that moment, none of what followed, the retaliation, the near brawl, or the flurry of fines would have happened. The officials missed it, plain and simple.
There were 6 technical fouls issued, there were 3 ejections, and there were 2 flagrant fouls. For one game, that is bananas. Even the broadcasters at the time mentioned if they would have just ejected Marina Mabrey, this probably wouldn't have happened.
Even Indiana Fever's head coach, Stephanie White, didn't hold back. In her post-game remarks, she directly blamed the officiating crew for failing to control the game early. Her comments hit hard, and they echoed what fans were already screaming online. Caitlin Clark is being targeted, and the league is doing little to stop it. As for Marina Mabrey, she didn't back down. In fact, she doubled down. As her social media filled with angry comments calling for her suspension, she coolly responded, "Every time they comment, I make money."
Stephanie White lit the refs on fire in a way slightly underneath.
That smug attitude only poured fuel on the fire. A player assaults the league's top star, avoids an ejection, and then mocks the public backlash. It felt like a slap in the face to fans who tuned in expecting sportsmanship, not WWE-level antics. Eventually, the WNBA caved under public pressure. The league retroactively upgraded Mabrey's technical foul to a flagrant 2. But even then, no suspension, no missed games, just a fine.
The referees, they set the temperature for how the game is going to be played.
For a seasoned pro like Mabry, that's barely a slap on the wrist. And here's where the double standard becomes impossible to ignore. During that same game, Caitlin Clark received a technical foul, yes, the victim, simply for creating space after taking a shot to the face. Think about that. She's poked, shoved, and still ends up with a tech. Meanwhile, her aggressor skates by with a laugh and a paycheck. This isn't a one-off situation. Mabry has a reputation for over-the-top aggression. Fans are starting to wonder if she's purposely using chaos to go after the league's rising star. And if that's the case, where's the line? At what point does the WNBA step in and say enough is enough? Then there's the Sophie Cunningham incident. She was tossed from the game and fined after standing up for Caitlin with a hard foul on J.C. Sheldon. The irony: Mabry, who physically attacked,
People are gonna get upset. And that is what made the entire game completely change. Leaving Marina Mabrey in, she was smiling about it. People were pissed. I mean, the crowd was just constantly booing her every single time she got the ball.
some even questioned whether she deliberately used the chaos as a chance to take out the league's top draw. The hypocrisy didn't go unnoticed. Sophie Cunningham, Caitlin's teammate, was ejected and fined for defending Clark with a hard foul on J.C. Sheldon. Yet Marina Mabrey played the rest of the game after shoving Clark from behind. The difference? Sophie plays with Caitlin. Mabry, she plays against her. And that's what this entire situation exposed: a clear bias in how players are punished depending on who they're protecting or attacking. Even commentators like Dave Portnoy and sports media veterans pointed out the inconsistency.
Ratings go down 50% when she's not there. Ratings rocket through the roof when she is. Everybody has to watch. She's box office. So she's playing some girl, J.C. Sheldon, longtime rival from Ohio State. Now this girl can't hold, can you say jockstrap? I'll say can't hold her bra. Can't hold her underwear, okay? Can't hold Caitlin's jockstrap. She's not that good, but they hate each other. They play each other. It's always a little chippy. J.C. Sheldon today, she's getting cooked per usual.
They noted that the league seems more concerned with appearing fair than actually protecting its franchise player. As Portnoy bluntly put it, she's the only reason people are watching, and you let this happen? Fans, analysts, even former pros are all asking the same question now. What is the WNBA doing to protect its biggest asset? Because if the answer is nothing, then the problem isn't just with Marina Mabrey. It's with the system that allowed her to act like that and walk away untouched. This wasn't just an on-court incident, it was a boiling point. A moment where fans, players, and even casual viewers saw the double standard unfold in real time. Caitlin Clark has brought millions of new eyes to the WNBA.
WNBA is in a pivotal moment right now. They have the CBA coming up, and so much of the viewership, so much of the bottom line and revenue is dependent on none other than Caitlin Clark.
But if the league continues to allow her to be targeted, abused, and disrespected without serious consequences, they may end up losing the very audience she brought with her. What happened next wasn't just retaliation, it was a message. When the referees failed to protect Caitlin Clark, her teammate Sophie Cunningham did what no official seemed willing to do. She took a stand.
The boiling point was Sophie Cunningham's hard foul on J.C. Sheldon, and I truly think that this was a message that she was sending to the leagues, to the officiating, just like to everybody.
And not just in words. With just 46 seconds left in the game, J.C. Sheldon, who had poked Clark in the eye earlier, went up for what she thought would be an easy layup. But Sophie had other plans. In a move that has now gone viral, Cunningham delivered a hard foul that sent Sheldon crashing to the court. The crowd exploded. Not in shock, but in approval. Fans were chanting Sophie's name as she was ejected from the game. For the first time in a long time, someone in a Fever jersey made it clear: if you mess with Caitlin Clark, there will be consequences. It wasn't just physical, it was symbolic.
This is a physical league, you need to get used to it.
Cunningham wasn't just defending her teammate, she was defending the future of the franchise. The WNBA is at an inflection point, and Caitlin Clark is the driving force behind its current rise in relevance, revenue, and ratings. Yet game after game, she's the target of cheap shots, dirty fouls, and disrespect. The league can't afford to pretend this is normal anymore. Sophie's foul sparked a chain of events: ejections, multiple fines, and heated post-game interviews.
Sophie Cunningham's foul was much more in the line of basketball than Marina Mabrey's was.
But it also raised a larger question, one the league can't ignore. Who's going to protect Caitlin Clark if the refs won't? The evidence suggests that fans are tired of waiting for an answer, and so are the players. Stephanie White, the Fever's head coach, made it clear in her post-game comments that enough is enough. She didn't hold back in criticizing the officiating, and she wasn't fined for it either, likely because the league knew she had a point. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark sat silently beside her, visibly frustrated. And who could blame her? At every turn, it seems like the officials are either asleep at the whistle or too afraid to take control. The irony?
Clark scored 32, dished out 9 assists to become the first player in WNBA history to have 100 points, 30 rebounds, 30 assists in a player's first 5 games of a season.
The same people who last year said Caitlin should get used to the physicality of the league are now crying foul because Sophie Cunningham dared to return that energy. Where was that outrage when Caitlin was being shoved from behind or scratched in the eye multiple times? Where were the cries for fairness then? The hypocrisy has never been more obvious. And yet, even with all this, Caitlin Clark has remained focused. She finished that very same game with 20 points, 4 threes, and a performance that reminded everyone why she's the most valuable player in the league. Not just for her stats, but for what she represents. She's a once-in-a-generation talent, the kind of athlete who doesn't just play the game, she transforms it.
Caitlin Clark in this particular game kept complaining that she was like scratching her arm and complained to the officials about it. And honestly, the entire game, they were jawing at each other. They were chirping at each other. Marina Mabrey always on the side, coming to her teammates' defense.
Viewership up by 200%, ticket sales through the roof, sold out arenas, a social media explosion, and national media coverage that the league has never seen before. The Caitlin Clark effect is real and measurable. Dave Portnoy said it best. Ratings go down 50% when she's not playing. She is box office.
The CBA based on numbers that Caitlin Clark is largely responsible for. Yes, she should be treated differently.
Kurt Schilling added, "The only reason I even watch the WNBA is because of Caitlin Clark." These aren't fringe fans. These are mainstream voices pointing out the undeniable truth. Caitlin Clark is the league right now, and that's exactly why the league's failure to protect her has become such a massive issue. When you let players like Marina Mabrey and Kennedy Carter treat Clark like a moving target, you're not just hurting the player, you're risking everything she's built.
WNBA rumors suggest Caitlin Clark will be among the first stars making $1 million annually. The most notable of which is, y'all already know who, the needle mover, Caitlin Clark.
So in 2024, she averaged 16.5 points per game, 4 assists, 5.5 rebounds. She shot 37% from the field and 31.8% from 3. Now, if you look at her preseason in 2025, she only played 2 games in this preseason, and one was against that Brazilian national team. She played 21 minutes. She averaged 14.5 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. She shot 52.5% from the field and 50% from 3-point range.
Player fines, ejections, emotional post-game interviews. But more importantly, it sparked a long overdue conversation. If the officials won't protect Caitlin, who will? Because fans, players, and coaches alike are tired of waiting for accountability that never comes. Indiana Fever coach Stephanie White voiced what everyone else was thinking in her post-game comments. Enough is enough. She called out the officiating for losing control of the game, and interestingly, wasn't fined for her honesty. That silence from the league said a lot. Caitlin, seated beside her, looked defeated. Who could blame her? She's been hacked, shoved, and mocked, all while carrying the league's popularity on her back. And here's the twist of irony. The same critics who told Caitlin to toughen up and adjust to the league's physicality suddenly cried foul when Sophie returned that same energy.
Clark scored 32, dished out 9 assists to become the first player in WNBA history to have 100 points, 30 rebounds, 30 assists in a player's first 5 games of a season.
Where was their outrage when Caitlin was blindsided or clawed in the face? The selective outrage was clear, and fans noticed. But through it all, Caitlin never lost focus. That same game, despite the chaos, she still dropped 20 points, nailed 4 threes, and reminded everyone why she's not just a star, she's a generational talent. The kind who doesn't just elevate the game, she redefines it. And the numbers back it up. TV ratings have doubled, arenas are packed, merchandise is flying off the shelves, and it's all thanks to the Caitlin Clark effect. She's driven a cultural shift in women's basketball, unlike anything the WNBA has seen before.
That's nice.
And she was shooting the shit out of it.
Of course she was.
Right. So she was shooting the shit out of it. And
she's the face of the league.
Agreed.
She's the face of the league. Agreed.
Just have nothing but great things to say about who she is as a person. Just so welcoming and so warm as an individual that she can have a conversation with anybody. She's cut from the same cloth as me in that regard. You know what? Us Midwesterners, we tend to just, accept everybody with open arms. She was so kind to my family and everyone in the suite when she came to KC. So huge fans of Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin earlier stayed in the game. The difference? Sophie stood beside Clark. Mabry stood against her. That contrast revealed something ugly. How discipline can depend on which side of the spotlight you're on. If you believe it's time the WNBA stood up for the very future of the sport, drop a CC 100% in the comments below, because this movement isn't quiet anymore. The message is loud and clear. You don't sideline your star. You stand behind her. The world is watching, and now the league has a choice to make.